What are some wars you've silently declared on people, and who's winning? I keep a small dish of Hershey's miniatures at the edge of my desk at work so people can walk by and take a few. There's one woman at my office who constantly complains about the fact that there are no more of a certain kind in the dish. She's not being cute about it. She actually demands that I refill it at some point. What she doesn't know is that I've been taking each individual piece she likes out of new bags that I get. I now have a shitload of special dark miniatures in the bottom drawer of my desk. I'll eat them surreptitiously, save the wrappers and then dump them in the break room trash can. I'm pretty sure she's noticed them in there. I'm going to sleep better at night knowing this is happening on a daily basis. I've declared war on a guy in my office who always cuts a quarter of a bagel or English muffin every day and then never finishes the other pieces. Just leaves them there while cutting new quarters and ruining the bread for everyone else. I've recently started turning the toaster to 10 when he walks away so it scorches his bread and he's forced to use another one of his stupid quarters. I hate that mother. 1. Get a Ziploc bag with the sucker's name on it. 1. Every time he mutilates a bagel, put it in the bag. Keep the named bag next to the usual bag. 1. Feign ignorance. 1. At the end of the week ask him innocently why the frick he's reserving all of the bagels and if it's so bloody hard to actually finish one before cutting up another. There is a guy at work named Andrew who thinks I do not know his name. Every time he sees me he makes sure to use my name to pressure me into saying his, but I don't. I just respond with hey buddy or something like that. It kills him. He just gets madder every single time. You should say hi and have a good day. My dad has declared a war on Toshiba for selling the Soviets the technology to make their submarines quieter. Everyone in my family has been drafted into this war. He also declared war on Apple because the first gen iPods used parts from Toshiba. I'm currently engaged in a thermostat war in the dental office I work at. The front desk insurance staff keep turning the AC off because they sit in front of a computer all day and generate zero body heat. Meanwhile the clinical staff are constantly on our feet running around so we turn it back down. We're winning because the thermostat is located right outside my operatory. Tell them to wear a jacket. My mom has these lawn flamingos that she has the weirdest attachment to. They have to be in an exact certain position in the bushes or else she has to go out and fix them. A few years ago, I started moving them ever so slightly every couple weeks. The next day or so, she'd move them back. By this point she's convinced the cat or the local raccoons are doing something to turn those faded pink angels of yard judgment, and at this point I can't just stop. Every day, and I mean every single day, I would venture down to the deli near where I work and patronize the quaint little shop and buy a tuna melt. It certainly isn't the best tuna melt I've had in my life. Heck, I'd even made some better tuna melts myself, but it got the job done and it was only $4.50. Perfect, easy lunch. It was so well known that I would get the sandwich that the adorable Asian owner would greet me when I walked in and start preparing it. Pumpernickel, with cheddar cheese instead of provolone. Fast forward 14 months of my unrequited business. I walk into the deli and she informs me that tuna melt are now $6. That's a 33% hike. I was furious. Nobody even likes tuna. I single-handedly made their tuna business and put their deli on the map. So I declared a cold war. The following day, she nods and starts to prepare the usual and I interrupt her. No, I say, I'll take the BLT, the bacon, lettuce and tomato, a staple of American cuisine. It was a big $4.25. Her friendly demeanor shifted right there, and since then it's been a war. Not only am I not getting their tuna melt anymore, but I'm getting a sandwich that was $0.25 less than my original order, so their unfortunate business decision will now cost them approximately $65 annually in gross revenue, but it's really $91 annually because of the difference between the grossly inflated tuna melt and the BLT. TLDR. I miss you, tuna melt. I genuinely thought you were making a reference to the original Fast and the Furious movie. I've silently declared a war with my brother. Our recycling bin is outside and we're both too lazy to have to bring things out to it. There is half of one cookie left in the plastic box, but neither of us will touch it because we don't have to be the one to bring the box outside. The cookie has been there for 2 weeks. Eat it and replace the cookie with a crappy drawn picture of a cookie. There is a spot right in front of my apartment that only fits one vehicle. It's in between a driveway and the alley. For the past 2 years I've waged this war with a neighbor who likes to park their truck there. There have been times where I have moved my car just because I see that they are no longer parked there. I don't know if they know I'm waging this war for the parking spot, but currently, I'm winning because my car is there. Buy a second car and park it there when the first car is needed elsewhere. That way he can never take your spot. A coworker. Everyone at our office, a pretty large number of people, hates her and she's been written up several times but amazingly still has her job. When I started she was extremely nice to me and so I thought maybe people didn't know how to deal with her. Then one day she gave me the wrong information about something and I ended up looking very bad and nearly screwing things up for another department. She denied saying anything to me and I realized that she's the type of person who loves to get other people in trouble but can't handle confrontation. Since then I've been doing everything in my power to pee her off. I accidentally forward her calls that she hates to deal with. She hates coming downstairs more than once a day, so even when I've finished the work that she's coming down for, I'll hide it until she's been down for her one time and then alert her as soon as she goes back up that it's ready. Ever since she lied to my managers about work she claimed I wasn't doing, which she didn't realize I could prove I had done since she's too old thick to understand that time and date are noted when you save something. I started leaving clues around now and then to make her think I've screwed something up, wait for her to storm down and freak out to my manager, and then calmly go about showing how she's insane and wrong about everything. And since she can't handle confrontation, I make a point of challenging her every time she says or does something spiteful. She won't even make eye contact with me now. The only problem is that when someone is that hateful the small wins mean almost nothing since I've already won just by being smarter, younger, and actually liked by the people I work with. You made me hate her from your comment. I am waging silent warfare on the people who walk in groups 4 or 5 abreast on busy sidewalks. I no longer turn my shoulder to the side or step out of their way. I walk in the path that I need to walk in to get where I'm going. I stay to one side and don't take up any more room than necessary. If they don't split up their group to get out of my way when they see me coming toward them, they're getting shoulder checked. It may shock you to learn that I am not winning this war. I discover more supporters for the opposing side every day. I am part of your army. When I was about 6 I was somehow blamed for moving a knick-knack of my aunt's around while she was babysitting me. I can almost guarantee that it was my cousin, her daughter, but she was well behaved and also a great liar. I did not touch the damned thing, but being the young and wild thing I was the scapegoat. Well, ever since that day, when I go see my aunt, I turn 1 or 2 of her knickknacks around just because I know she won't notice for several days. She has bad vision and will have long forgotten that fateful day that I was blamed for something I didn't do. We have truly reached a new level of petty. Oh, I just realized I have another one. My apartment complex is incredibly boring. They don't let you hang things in your windows if they can be seen from the outside. They don't let you put nice welcome mats out. They get pee if you don't sweep off your patio after their mowers come through. My passive aggressive protest involves 2 small paper saucers, a black permanent marker, duct tape, and some cannibalized clothes hangers. I've been cutting old clothes hangers down, taping the paper saucers to the end of it so that it looks like a lollipop on a stick, then drawing pupils in the center of the saucer. I take 2 of these out each day and stick them in the ground in front of the plume of decorative grass by the entrance to the complex so that it looks like eyes with tall hair. I usually roll one of the small decorative bricks over so that it can be the nose. Every day they disappear. I've heard the manager at the complex complaining about it. I've been doing it all summer. Last week, I found the brick laying on the opposite side of the street where somebody threw it in frustration. I retrieved it and I'm still putting the paper plates out. The downside, I'm almost out of plastic hangers because of this. Chopsticks or bamboo skewers. Don't give up the good fight. I try to get to work earlier than everyone on my floor so I can be the first to poop on the freshly cleaned toilet. I'm winning. Plus I end up looking good to the bosses. One of my friends does this too, except he'll send out a Snapchat video of him opening every stall door with the caption "Virgin Toilets" across the screen. I always vote down posts in RAWW that include the phrase Reddit, meet X, where X is the name of some animal I can't actually meet through the internet. It's a completely one-sided relationship and it bothers me that it is presented as anything else. It's a never-ending and stupid thing I do. I'm pretty much just a lurker in RAWW, but I have to fight the urge to downvote posts that are way too detailed and clearly looking for sympathy votes. About to be put down, but adopted at the last minute. Some would think my dog's ugly, but I think this one-eyed, three-legged mutt deserved another lease on life. Reddit, meet. Could not roll my eyes harder. Anytime I come across a website I'd like to gain access to but don't wish to sign up, I use my buddy's email address. I'm winning. Oh my lord, that is hilarious. The short blonde cashier at the pharmacy. It's the only place near us that sells liquor, so needless to say we're in there a lot. I always bring my reusable bags and don't need them to put them in paper bags. She insists every time that it's the law. It's not. She's just a mean bee. I once saw her yell at an old lady, 70s at least, because she didn't understand the sale sign that was misleading. I digress. Now whenever I go in I wait for the other cashier and make a huge spectacle about not needing the paper bag because it's so wasteful. Her manager even said that as long as it left in a bag, it didn't need to be wrapped if I didn't want it. Really hope she gets fired soon. She just rude. Late to the party, but I'm a field engineer. 2 weeks back, one of our customers had their machine blow up at 10 AM on Friday. One of the field engineers was gonna have to go. 2 of us were free to go. I pointed out that I'd worked last weekend and that I was scheduled to work the next weekend after this, and that I didn't want to work 3 weekends in a row. He countered with, "Well, I'm working next weekend and I don't want to work 2 weekends in a row." He then modified the Google Calendar that we use to keep track of who's going on which job when to show that he was busy with a prior commitment, forcing me to go on the job. I spent 26 hours straight repairing that machine. He deleted his busy from the calendar 5 minutes after I left and enjoyed his weekend. My petty revenge is knowing that he's lonely and has no friends. I used to hang out with him as part of a pity friendship after work every so often. I've been busy every time he wants to hang out ever since. Take that and be lonely, butthole. I'm not upset that I got the short end of the stick. Somebody had to. It's part of the job. I'm pissed off that I got thrown under the bus to do it so that he could spend his weekend. I don't even know what he spent it doing, but nothing productive. I used to work at a pizza place. Whenever a customer would act like an butthole, I would intentionally not cut the pizza all the way. I also made sure that there were a few very small slices and a few very large slices. I got satisfaction in knowing that people had a difficult time separating their slices, and that if they had kids they would argue over who got the bigger slice. Cut it the whole way through on the edges, but let up on the pressure in the center. Nothing worse than pulling 75% of a slice out, leaving the tip torn off. Bonus points if the cheese is of the slide off variety. My next door neighbor, she's constantly making a crap ton of noise, yelling matches with her daughter, slamming doors, cussing out the TV and so on. When my kids make any noise she complains to the building manager. I asked him to sit in for a day and he heard it all. So now I encourage my kids to play and make racket. She is furious. I'm winning. I work in a fine dining restaurant with freakishly short people for staff. Constant gossip and rumors at all times. Just pure drama. Anytime I hear my co-workers talk poorly on one another I put sugar caddies, water pitchers, things that are meant to be grabbed quickly on the top shelf in one of the wait stations. Then they have to ask one another to help retrieve whatever and actually communicate one-on-one. It is my sick way of getting them to maybe, hopefully, appreciate one another. I'm winning, I believe. They kind of are too in a strange way. I've never listened to a commercial on Pandora. I just switch stations, going between 3 that are basically the same. I bear no real animosity, however. I don't pay for anything. Just don't feel like listening to commercials. I run Spotify in the web player with ad block. No ads for me. When my dad was 24 he had $80 in his bank account. The YMCA made a frick up and charged him for $50 of gym time he didn't actually want, and then they wouldn't give him a refund. Well, fast forward 5 years when he becomes a sportscaster. Guess who's crap out of luck when it comes to advert partners? The Y. It was years until they found out the reason he didn't want to work with them. My family actually has boycotts on the brick, Futurashop, YMCA, and Scotiabank. People who cut you off with their shopping carts. A woman who did this at Costco the other day took a corner too sharp when she was trying to turn before I went forward, and ended up hitting a stack of baby formula, and I of course smirked triumphantly. I hate shopping on Saturdays. I've declared war against my brother. Neither of us replaced the toilet paper roll, and it's gone on for probably at least half a year. Looking at you Scotty snack time. It's more like a war she declared on me, but she's losing. TLDR. It pays to be a nice, hard-working person instead of a psycho bee. One of my co-workers went slightly psycho on me, loudly berating me for having full time when she wanted it, being so dang cheerful, and other things I had no control over in front of the cashiers we were in charge of. So I reported her to management. She figured out it was me who tattled. So she literally told me I had just earned myself an enemy and was seen to be muttering to herself and glaring at me. So I reported her to management again. I felt bad because she had put in for a department manager position at another store, but by me bringing this issue to management, she received her D-Day, decision day, wherein you decide if you're going to shape up or ship out. So obviously I wasn't her first complaint, but I definitely ruined any chance she had of going higher than she is for the next year, which I felt slightly bad about as I bore her no ill feelings until this incident. I left for vacation, another sore point for her, as she didn't get the hours left in my absence. They trained up someone new to temporarily fill my spot. When I came back from vacation, I found out she had been off her meds and was now back on them. But I knew she was still silently psycho because I still get snarky smiles and grimaces and I can hear her talking behind my back. I'd say I'm winning, because the week after I got back from vacation, I was moved into a department manager position myself. She fights back though, because she puts me last on her priority list when I have a request sent through my register that she has to approve through her Palm Pilot. I've told this story before, but I'll tell it again, because I think it fits. When I was a teenager, I worked at McDonald's. I was sort of shy and unassuming, and on my first day, a manager, after being introduced to me, looked me in the eye and said, "You're weak. You're going to be my new target." She then proceeded to make my life a living heck. She screamed at me constantly. She gave me the dirtiest jobs she could. She berated me in front of other employees and customers constantly. As soon as she started doing all this, I decided I was going to kill her with kindness. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of hating her. I greeted her with smiles. I'd ask how her day was going. I offered to help her with things whenever I could. I just laughed along when she would make fun of me. I was so undeniably sweet. It was sickening. And I did my best to seem as genuine as possible. Anytime she saw me, I made sure to be as cheery and friendly and sweet as possible, no matter how much of a bee she was to me. I spent months turning the other cheek and saying, "Please, sir, I want another." She never relented. Not until the last day, that is, I was scheduled to work during her last hours there. When she told me it was her last day, I put my hand on her shoulder, looked straight into her eyes, and said, "Oh, man. I'm really gonna miss you." She stared back at me in shock for a minute and then instantly started bawling. "Why? Why are you being nice? Why are you so nice to me? I've been horrible to you. I've picked on you mercilessly. I went out of my way to do so. Why are you like this? Or, come on. Now," I said. "Don't be silly. You were never that bad." She cried even harder. She cried all the way out the door, but not before saying she believed I was one of the only genuinely good people she had ever met. I felt like I had won. Then began the 10,000 years of darkness under you. My fiancée. I put an extra roll of toilet paper next to the toilet when there is just a little bit left on the other roll. She gets very upset about this and has explained that, but I think it's more of an inconvenience to have to find the toilet paper when there's still some left, but you'll totally need more shortly. She has left it in random places around the bathroom. I went and hid it one time. It's a stalemate. One day she walked into the bedroom and full force pitched in right in my face. I am winning. My epilepsy isn't very controlled right now, so I can't go on certain registers at work, go up on ladders, or go through any unnecessary stress just for the next few weeks until I can get on some better medication. I have worked there for 3 years without any issues. Every great once in a while I need to take an extra break because I had a seizure. Simple partial, which upper management told me that I can do. I have it documented clearly and it is in my file in HR. So my supervisor hates me. Her fiance tried to get into my pants on multiple occasions, which obviously I tell him to buzz off and that he is a pig. She finds out. She knows I didn't encourage or tell her anything. She asked to see some texts and I showed her. No issue between us until she told him that they could have a 3-way to spice up their relationship and he could choose. He chose me. They broke up. I got 2 texts. One from her saying that they just broke up and one from him saying he loves me and wants to date. That through his whole engagement he loved me. I told him to buzz off once more. She found this out. Now they are engaged again. She makes it a point to make sure that he doesn't even take a glimpse at me if he comes shopping. Well, when she heard I needed some reasonable accommodation for a few weeks, she didn't want any of that. She wanted to make my life harder. She would tell me that she needed to see my doctor's note personally and I said it was an HR. HR said it was none of her business but I needed reasonable accommodation. She would put me on the register I needed but flood me with giant orders. If a customer was a B, she refused to come over and help me out, so I would get bitched out for 15 minutes, 20 minutes at the longest. Once I had a simple partial seizure and I said I just needed a quick 5-minute break to put some water on my face. She refused. She told me that she didn't have to. I printed out every single rule about it, so every time she says this I show her a paper with my rights on it. I recite it and tell her nope. I am not going to do any of that. She tells me that she will write me up and I will quote another rule that helps me, that she would get fired for refusing accommodation. She gets P. She tries to get as close to the rules in order to screw me over, but I am always prepared. She also talks smack behind my back and so I make it a huge point to be extra nice to her. All of her attempts to make me look bad have failed. I win. I always win. I am switching departments soon because it is a fricked up game, so I think I win completely. Good on you for making sure you get your accommodations. Legally they have to comply, and if she refuses even once, unless it's a very unique and bizarre situation, she's liable to get sued, at least to my understanding. Plus epilepsy is a scary thing. 10/10 keep it up. I've been taking small but important everyday items from my sister, who continually takes my stuff and never returns it. I got the idea from Nick, a new girl who sanded down the left shoe on each pair of Schmidt shoes just enough to put him off and slowly drive him crazy. I am doing the same. I started with the sweet band she plays tennis with, along with her iPod and her deodorant. I slowly give things back and take things away to make her think that she has developed a habit of losing stuff. This past week she came in asking to use my deodorant because she had been missing hers. I played it off well, laughing at her stupidity for losing something that sits on her dresser. She went on to confess that she thought she had lost her iPod, but had found it a few days later in an obscure place on her nightstand. I always return the items to a similar place where I found them, but hide them almost obviously. I also never confess to having found anything so as to concentrate the blame solely on her and thwart suspicion. Currently stashing her everyday flip-flops, mascara, and favorite necklace. I would feel bad about this, but she's lost too many of my clothes and personal items for me to give a crap anymore. The last shirt she lost she refused to pay for, and then she went and bought the exact same shirt for herself. Watching her go crazy is my payback. And then you can refuse to loan her something because she's always losing things. Win-win. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.